Common boa constrictor. The common boa constrictor is not generally at the top of anyone's list of reptiles to have as a first pet, mostly due to their large size, 13 to 16 feet, and the need for someone strong enough to hold them. But that doesn't mean that they don't have beginner-friendly potential. Found across the majority of Central and South American territories, their diets span from fish, lizards, and other small animals all the way up to deer. In captivity, they thrive when feasting on chickens, rabbits, and rats, though what they can handle generally depends on their size. While the husbandry requirements for the common boa are similar to those for other pet snakes, they require a larger enclosure. When they are handled frequently, they are generally calm, but owners need to be sure that the snake does not feel threatened, as it tends to coil itself around people when it does. Needless to say, this is not an ideal first pet for a child, more suited to adults who can exercise higher levels of control. Having said that, if handled regularly, they are tolerant of the process and can be a great pet. They can live for up to 30 years, even in captivity, and can be purchased at a price point between $60 and $200. Kenyan Sandbo. Two of the hallmark traits of a Kenyan Sandbo are its aerodynamic shape and smooth scales, which they use to burrow into the sand. They use this method to suffocate the pinky mice prey that comprises a large part of their diet. When kept in a tank, they require several sand layers for this purpose. That means that, unlike tanks with simple substrates like newspaper, their tanks are significantly harder to keep clean. As their name implies, they are native to the hot African climate, so their tanks need to be warm. They are not large in size, reaching just about 2 feet at most. The Kenyan boa is generally even-tempered, but they may not want to be handled much. If an attempt is made, however, they are far more likely to squirm away to escape than launch an aggressive biting attack. Aside from their occasional feistiness, they make very good beginner reptile pets. They can live for 2 decades and, depending on the morph, can cost anywhere from $75 to $200. Western Hognose Snake. Hailing from the western parts of the U.S., as denoted by its name, the Western Hognose Snake can be found in northern Mexico and southern Canada as well. Their distinguishing feature is their upturned nose. They are largely dormant at night and during most of the day, but are more active in the mornings and evenings. Their diet in the wild consists largely of toads and smaller lizards. While digging for sand to find hiding toads is their primary method of hunting, the western hognoses will eat small lizards and small rodents if they can't find their favorite croaking delicacy. When threatened, they hiss and flatten their heads, and could even strike when particularly stressed. But they're not known for biting. Actually, their hissing is not even meant to be aggressive in nature. In fact, they are more conflict-averse, preferring to play dead than attack. For a smaller snake, they are quite pricey, costing between $100 to $700, but they take well to being handled when they're used to it, which makes them a good beginner snake choice for novices. Garter Snake. Since the garter snake is one of the most common species found in the U.S., they end up as pets in many American homes, especially thanks to their low asking price of $15 to $50. Their diet in captivity consists of worms and small fish, and their heating requirements are not challenging. They only grow to 1.5 to 2 feet, though some can grow as long as 4. They are distinguished by a stripe that runs down their back. Because they're native to marshy, woody, and meadow-based areas, their tanks need to contain a water source. Like some other beginner snakes, they like to bask in the sun to get the warmth they require, so their tank also needs a basking lamp. While many think of garters as those snakes that are all over their yards, they make pretty decent reptile pets, and popular ones at that. They're easygoing and tame, even in the wild. This makes them easier to handle by beginners who need a docile-natured snake to learn the ropes. Gopher Snake. Sometimes known as a pine or bull snake, the gopher snake is a western U.S. native species that are both tame and active enough to make a great reptile pet for beginner owners. They sometimes frighten prospective owners as they resemble rattlesnakes, but a closer look can reveal that their pupils and noses are rounded and they don't have fangs. Whether the gopher is diurnal or nocturnal, they are generally quite active in their non-dormant hours. They're one of the longest snakes on this list, growing as long as 4.5 feet. Much like their rattlesnake lookalikes, they rattle their tails and hiss when feeling threatened. But they have no venom. They do bite, however, as a measure of defense, but while their bites are painful, they're not harmful. With that said, it does tend to be calm enough to be handled by reptile owners, including beginners. They enjoy basking in the sun, so they need a heat lamp in their tank. They can live up to 2 decades. The regular price of a gopher snake is around $90, but albinos have a price point closer to $190. Milk snake. Much like the California king, which we will talk about later in this list, the milk snake is another variant from the same family. Native to Mexico and the United States, they're usually white and black, rounded by red body rings. They reside in rocky and woody areas and are not usually going out of their way to bask in the sun openly. They do, however, enjoy getting heat from warmed up logs and rocks. When kept in a tank, this means that a sub-tank heater might be the best option for this species. They only grow to about 2 feet, most of which happens in their first few years alive. Their care requirements are pretty basic, and with good care, they can live up to 20 years. They're calm and very rarely bite, much like other king species, so they are more than adequate for amateur herpetologists to handle. They can be found at price points ranging between $50 and $200. Rosy Boa. Typically found in parts of Mexico and the western coast of the United States, Rosy Boas, true to their name, are a confluence of brown, rose, and pink in color. They're curious by nature and enjoy being handled, which makes them great for beginner keepers. They're also hardly ever prone to biting. In captivity, with great care, they can live for as long as 3 decades and cost between $25 and $350, depending on which breeder, private or public, they are acquired from. Their husbandry needs are simple, making them easy to care for. They are docile as well, leading to being a great choice for a first-time reptile owner. They are not, however, quite as popular as our list's top 3 placeholders. Ball python. Hailing from the grasslands of Central and Western Africa, the ball python, which gets its name due to its curling up into a ball in a quest for safety, loves to seek out rodents in burrows. They like to come out for their activities during the night, staying mostly hidden during the daytime hours. In the wild, the ball pythons are brown with lighter patches, and various members bred in captivity can span a color spectrum. While a python spurs thoughts of a giant snake, these guys grow to a relatively modest 3.5 to 5 feet in length as adults. They can live between 2 and 3 decades. They're not aggressive snakes, very reluctant to bite, and prefer to take their namesake's ball shape when feeling threatened. However, with repeated handling and assured safety, they will grow out of this behavior. Their diets are probably the toughest part. While they enjoy eating mice, they are notoriously picky about how they want their meals. They will only eat their food thawed or freshly killed. The ball python is a very common first snake for many beginner reptile owners. Because of their dietary diva-like behavior aside, they're quite easy to take care of and docile at handling. Their price ranges fall anywhere between $25 and $200. California king snake. The most popular pet among king snakes is the California king, a U.S. native that is distinguished by yellow speckles, bands, or stripes along its brownish-black body. They grow to about the size of a corn snake, 2.5 to 5 feet, though unlike their cousins, they're not nocturnal, preferring to be active during the daytime. They do need their dark hours balanced with their light ones to stay healthy, however. They can live up to 20 years in captivity and enjoy mice for their diets. They can be shy, but are calm when handled. When they feel threatened, they don't typically strike, but coil up to defend themselves, a behavior that goes away once the animal is familiar with the safety of the handling engagement. Their care requirements are basic and their easy temperament makes them great beginner pets. They also fall into the price range of $70 to $170, which is not outrageous. Corn snake. The most popular pet snake is the corn snake. They live on the ground and are moderate in size. Their disposition is gentle, making them ideal for snake pets. Their bodies are orange or brown-red, with reddish-black blotches, but in captivity, they are bred to many different hue variations. As babies, corn snakes are about 10 to 12 inches long, growing to 3 to 4 feet as adults. Captive-born members of the species are usually better tempered and healthier, but professionals have taken in snakes from the wild too, with a lot of success. They require a 20-gallon tank, such as a large fish tank, the temperature of which should be between 72 degrees Fahrenheit to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, with a warmer side and a cooler side. Their diet in captivity primarily consists of pinky mice. Any health issues corn snakes present are generally related to inadequate husbandry. When taken care of, they can live for as long as 20 years. In terms of price, they usually cost somewhere between $40 and $100.